AG2, the new AI platform that's not just changing the game, but is rewriting the rules with features like AI text generator, AI image generator, AI code generator, AI chat box, AI text to speech, and voiceover capability. Where AI meets hip hop, unleash the power, feel the vibe, set the stage on fire. Visit ag2.app. The link is at the top line of the description box, and let the revolution begin.
You know, a lot of them, they perpetrate the P. Diddy's and all that. They full of shit. Full of shit. All that yapping. He was like, oh man, man, whatever you need. Can't you call him? You know, it's not that you're trying to get money. Hey man, you know, you could put the music in there. You could put, you know, maybe put your name on it. Maybe that'll help us get the other name. Nothing. You can't even get a hold of them.
So it's black.
Just talking, just running their mouth for nothing. They're worse than the white person. They're worse than any evil, because they're good white people in the industry, but they're worse than any racist, you know, who's trying to do a double deals or whatever. You know, like Mace was told P. Diddy, y'all know that. When Mace said, P. Diddy, you talk about white people, why don't you ease up? Why don't you let me off the plantation?
So is it fair to say that a lot of these entertainers and stuff use black pride for profit?
I'm sorry.
Is it fair to say that a lot of these entertainers, you talked about Diddy, and he's very vocal about black pride and what we got to do for us, and uses that a lot. Is it fair to say that they use that for profit?
Yes, absolutely. 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 With all due respect, brother, you look at it, you know, with TLC, Tony Braxton, what they had to go through with L.A. Reid and Babyface, you know, they were how are you gonna sell 10 million records and they out of their own, the girls were saying it, you know, okay, yeah, you don't do drugs and all that, but why y'all just like them? You know, why are you just like them? And no one calls them on it, you know. Well, I plan to, you know, I'm asking God for those like mine and like spirits. And there's some good brothers. I got a few proteges, some warriors, you know. As I spoke about this at various events, it's the younger people that really, they're cheering me on. The people in my age group, and they don't like what I'm saying when I say don't complain about no right white scripts and let's put our monies together and we'll trillion our nation. They don't want to. You know, but the young folks, you know, the young people, they hear me. They told me, don't ever give those speeches to your generation. They're stuck. They're stuck begging. We know. And a lot of them are coming together. The young black brothers and sisters in the business world and in the entertainment world, they're working more together. Now they don't have that crap. That crap in the barrel thing is not so much among them. Is Usins.
Definitely.
I'm gonna ask you about Bill Cosby, man. Talk about the time that he dissed you, and then talk about, you know, what do you think that ended up happening with Bill Cosby? How do you feel about that now, him being in prison for that whole went down with him? Can you talk about that?
It breaks my friends said, Ernie, what are you crying? When he was sent to prison, I literally was crying because as much as I could not stand the man, still what he created as an artist, you know, I didn't think that at that age being put in prison, I thought that was so degrading. I thought they definitely could have done something else, being on the house arrest, X amount of money for a fine that he had to pay, but to put him in jail, I just thought that was over the top. You know, at the same time, no, I didn't want to have lunch with him because I think he is still think he's an arrogant man. But I just think I think a lot of the blacks who were in power and they didn't do it, a lot of blacks who had the power to speak up for him. You notice that wasn't going on.
Yeah.
You know how it was the silence was deafening. It was no, you know, yeah. And again, what he did to us was evil, you know. You're too old and to know, but you old enough to know better. You know what we went through as the people, you know, and you're gonna do that. You're gonna deliberately walk past. You see us begging just for attention, and you're gonna smoke your cigar and walk in front of us, letting us know I don't see you. What's the difference in you and the KKK? What's the difference?
You speaking in reference to black people?
I'm sorry.
Are you speaking in reference to black people when you say just leaving us sit behind?
Oh, I'm not. No, that's Bill Cosby. But what Bill Cosby did, reference to black people. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. What he did to, as young black men, he's an elder of the business. He should have given us the words of encouragement, man. But he's just like, I mean, it was like I said, and only on the set of the piece of the action, because Sidney Poitier was loving me so much. Now Sidney was giving me so much love, and he said, "Hey, Bill, aren't you proud of him?" And he had to come over because Sidney is pulling him into it, But oh man, and I know another young lady that he did. She didn't go to the police. I have a friend. Went to Spelman and all that. She said, yeah, he tried, but she could not believe it. She looked at him as like this black father figure, and he trying to get in their clothes. So it is a lot of women that won't speak up. He did it, and the black men should stop that mess too. Oh, he was trying to buy NBC. Are you that stupid? How in the hell, if I write you the check, I gave you the check, Bill Cosby, you gonna take the check I gave you and buy me? That's how stupid these people say. Oh, the reason they did that, see, he was trying to buy NBC, butthole. How in the hell can he buy NBC? They gave him the check. How in the hell he gonna buy NBC? If I gave you $400 million or $1 billion, how much do I have? Oh, they were angry. That didn't bother. He was his own. Again, they used what you have. It wasn't drugs. His thing was sex. So they let him build it up. Girl after girl, woman after woman, woman after woman and then it all hit. And you got 50-some women, everybody wrong. And I know personally of a young lady who went through it. And you didn't have to do that, man. You're a handsome guy. You don't have to drug women to have sex with them, and won't own up to it. Still won't say he did none, not one. That's arrogance, and God don't like it. God don't like ugly. Bill is ugly.
So would you say that he's guilty then of that?
Absolutely guilty. Yeah, he's guilty. Absolutely guilty. Ain't got nothing to do with it. Guilty. Guilty.
Let me ask you this, sir, because arrogance, obviously, that's something frowned upon. Him passing and hitting on women, that's obviously frowned upon, but that's completely different than drugging them and doing something. So
yes,
that's a situation where, and I'm not trying to dig too deep in your friend's business, but was she drugged or was she just hit on?
She was just hit on.
Okay.
She wasn't drugged. No, she was just because she looked at him as he's only been her father. So no, she was just hit on. Yeah.
Okay. So he's not guilty. I mean, that's frowned upon, and that's maybe an ass or per se.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
You're not sitting in jail for life for that. I got you. Okay.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to kind of transition, what as we conclude the interview, we're sitting here with Ernest Lee Thomas of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Definitely appreciate your time. What you got going on now? What's next for you? How is life now? You talk a lot about having proteges and mentoring the youth. So talk about what you got going on now.
Well, I got some young kings and queens, brother, that I won't name them, but they're gonna be you're gonna definitely know about them. And they're gonna supersede me and everyone out there. But me personally, I just finished a faith-based film called Playhouse. That was in the theater for a brief moment, but it's on the Win Network. It's a free streaming service, but you do have to pay a fee for that film because it's a new film called The Playhouse. And then I have another film called Two Wolves. I think one of my best roles, Mikhail Shannon Jenkins. That's one of my former proteges. I'm about to do another film with him, and he's a force to be dealt with. Talking about a believer in Christ, and yet strong black man. And so we did Two Wolves. That's on Tubi. That's another free streaming service. We also was on Amazon We have a film called The Gods on Amazon, and The Chosen, that's also on Amazon. And again, I'm about to do a new film with him where he has all this young cast. These young kids are Latino, Black, white. They are amazing, man. So I'm playing the OG in this one. I am going to Comic-Con, Pensacon. I'll be in Pensacon in Florida, May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. I'll be there for that. So I'm always excited to meet the fans, and my the book From Raj to Riches. I'm getting. I just asked Jamie Foxx, as a matter of fact, to be a producer. I'm waiting for his, and he's been really nice, but I'm waiting to see. I would like to do a documentary and then actually a gospel musical from Raj to Riches, based on my life. And then I want to make that transition, if you will, from producer to producer, because I care a lot, and I want to underwrite young brothers and sisters. They don't do a song and dance. You ain't got to sleep with me. You ain't got to worship me. You ain't got to kiss my butt. Just be prolific, be professional who you are, and just get the paperwork together, make it happen. I'm asking God for that, and I know that's gonna happen. I want to, as Ron Howard did, and Meathead from the Sanford, from All in the Family, Rob Reiner. I definitely would love to be behind the scenes now, and still do a film whenever, but that's the goal. But right now, the Playhouse, Two Wolves, and The Chosen, you can see those on the Amazon, Tubi, and the Win Network.
Awesome. My last question will be, to you, because it's truly a blessing to live, a long age, 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah. What is your secret to success and just, having longevity in Hollywood and in life as well? Well, first I'll say Jesus Christ. I know people say, "Oh man, you such a Bible thumper." I said, "No, because I cuss and all that. I'm a sinner knocking at heaven's door, and I think God loves it. I'm real. I know He ain't done with me yet. The secret is that I have love for people, man. I'm born. God crafted me that way. I love to see people happy. I mean, people, acting must be awesome. Yeah, I love acting and all that. The greatest thing I get joy out of is making someone happy. And I think that will make you, not only God gives you grace for that, but it just makes you, your everything is lighter because you get joy. You looking to make someone happy, and now my niece has two little kids. She has a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they love their Uncle Ernie. The 9-year-old has 2 million TikTok followers.
Wow.
And the 6-year-old, the 9-year-old was on a science project. The 6-year-old came up, you know what? You should do this and that. And she knew what to do, So I'm just asking, I've been praying on them and asking God to make them great women, and that they do great things, and not just them, but my proteges and my proteges. I have a godchild, T'Challa, named after King from the Black Panther. And I'm just praying that once I leave here, with all my faults, but that the good, I just want to really invest, and just seeing what happens with my little ones here, and the proteges they are not doing any drugs, no liquor, like John Claude, was a former protege. He's done like 30 films now, Wow. We were in Malcolm together. He played Benjamin X in there. But I'm really, so that's the secret to me is putting God first, and then being a servant to the people, trying not to cuss, 'cause I didn't cuss until I was 19.
Indeed, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. We've been blessed to have a lot of great people on this podcast, a lot of childhood people that we've got to watch on TV and idolize young. And you are definitely one of them people, being Raj, what's happening. Definitely appreciate you coming on. So we start the interviews off, man, just to ask, how you feeling out here in 2021? It's definitely a new world than the one that we once had. So how you feeling out here?
Whew, brother, you know, on the one hand, just blessed at 72, right? At 72 years old to be alive, you know, and have your right mind, you know, and still be optimistic, you know. At the same time, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. You know, there's a lot of carnage in our neighborhoods. Of course, the racism is an all-time high, but also the gang activity and suicide among our young brothers, particularly our young Black brothers, 20s and 30s, second leading cause of homicide. So if I think on things too much, yeah, Reverend Cecil Murray told me that, and I went, that's not true though, really? He says, no, that's true. You know, that we men, as Black men, we don't talk about it. We'll just either do it or find ways to enter into situations that we will get killed. And that definitely gives you, you know, give you pause for tears. You know, so I had gotten to a point, you know, I'll be honest with you, brothers, that I was physically ill from all that's going on, you know. On the one hand, dealing with the because obviously the KKK has infiltrated the police department, and they said that, you know, they said that years ago on Geraldo Rivera's show, they will no longer wear the white hoods. They will get into Congress. They will become policemen, you know, and they have fulfilled that promise. So. So now they do have the license to just even put drugs on someone or just the least little thing. They have an excuse to murder young Black men. And then on the other hand, you know, the carnage within Chicago and Little Rock, Compton, and the various urban areas where there's no let up there either, you know. So I got physically ill between knowing both of those factors, you know, and specifically having to go to Washington, D.C. area where we had a moratorium on gang violence for Father's Day weekend. And just to have to hug the mothers who lost their little girls, their daughters, because they didn't give the gang member their phone number, or the gang member would knock on the door and tell the, you know, whoever their son is, have you decided yet? He says no. They will shoot him right there. And what are you gonna do? Tell the police? They know where you live. What you gonna do? You know, so. Having to try to make them laugh, and I would do that. I would act real silly, say the dumbest things possible. But when I got to the hotel room, brother, it just, and then I asked the ministers. That's another area that really brought the tears. These are the men of God, called by Christ. No greater love than to lay down your life for your friend. So at the press conference, I said, I have an idea. If all the ministers in Maryland and DC area, forget about the denominations, but we come together for our Black kids, you know, in the name of Jesus, we march, we'd have the mothers of the gang members with us, the grandmothers, forget about your denomination. We walk together. We don't point fingers. We go in the name of Jesus, embracing the gang. We don't care what he's done. We just embracing them. We just putting it out there. We will let the power of Christ and our love and uniting together be all that. And the guy that brought me there, he says, Ernie, that's good. That's nice, brother, but that will never happen because the ministers have such a jealousy of one another. They will not come together. And I said, oh, I can't believe now, just not one or two ministers. It got all the, and you know what, brother? They brought the tears. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing. No one called. And I left there with no one calling. So how do you, if the men of God don't think it's that important, right? To come together, to forget about their Rolls Royces and the money they make all the material gains, and that's what it boils down to. Because if you call by Christ, that should matter. You should come together, and if you love your people, you should come together. Nothing. Same thing in Gary, Indiana. You know, I was on a call, and I got so angry, I started cussing. I would call them all kinds of names, you know, the ministers, and the phones are lighting up, right? The lady said, "Oh, everybody, they agree with you," you know? And I said, "You ministers, you pimping in the name of Jesus," you know? And sure enough, I mean, there are so many churches there. There are over 400 churches in Little Gary and Danny. Would you believe? Not one. And she says, "Oh, they did try. And then they had an argument and didn't meet anymore because they couldn't decide who was gonna be the leader." So that's where I'm at. So if I don't think about it too much, if I'm in prayer and I think about, let me look at the good, like these young black kids who have a higher IQs than anyone in the world, and the young black young kid that got into Harvard, and he had he was the first male valedictorian at 4.4 something. I got to look at all that, you know, and then I have to remember the real deal. We having the most copy culture in the world, you know. Thinking about that, we were first. I don't mean we have to look down on anyone else, but God breathed breath into us first, and our kids have to know our history don't begin with slavery. You know, we were first. We even enslaved people, but we were the first that God talked to and spoke to and walked with, right? We were God's road dog, and we have to know that history. You know, that we come from a rich spiritual history. You know, achievements off the chain. You know, and that remember that. And walk with that crown. Walk with that you are a child of the King, like you were the first. That don't mean to look down on anyone, but you birthed everything else. Mm-hmm. And wear that crown, you know, forget about everything else, knowing that information and go with it, go with God, achieve it as John 14:14, ask anything in my name, and stop begging and asking, as I told Jesse Jackson's son when he was trying to boycott. And I actually went to Push. I was at Push, and because we were doing a play in town, and Bernadette Stannis and Thelma, she said, "Please, Ernie, don't say anything. Don't say anything." And then I had to. I said, "Can I just say something?" I loved Reverend Jackson, but we are bigger than that. Yeah. We don't have to march and protest the Oscars. We are trillions and trillions of dollar nation, you know? And we have to pool our monies together like our fellow Italians did, the Jewish brothers did, the Mormons did. The Mormons were outcasts. They killed the leader of the Mormon at 38, 39 years old. They thought that was it. Then they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to unite among ourselves. We're going to put all our money together. And we keep the money within us." They are the richest religion in the world. No welfare, no relief. They don't have unemployment. They take care of their own. And I said, so Jesse Jr., please tell your father, I love him, but he's misdirected, man. He needs to have an in-house meeting with all the music moguls. We got the $1 billion rap head. We got billionaires within the business world, baseball players, basketball, all this. Why are we begging? Like we broke, you know? And if he would do that, God would really be on our side, because you are being grateful for what you do have and using what you do have. You know, I said we would have so much, we would be optioning scripts from other people, other nationalities. We'll option from the Asians and the Irishmen, and we'd have so much. We'd do our own stories, of course, but we would do it like it's supposed to be done. You know,
Yes,
we could show them how it's done. Not only express all the greatness of our culture, you know, but we got so much going on that we can even option their stories.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm very, when I think about who I am, where I come from, like I said, with that history, knowing that God breathed breath into us first, and that's why a lot of my friends who I grew up with they are alcoholics or they are dead. I can't dwell on that. I can't dwell on what's going on around me. I gotta say, what can I do to catapult myself above all that and still reach back, right, and do something about it. And I tell my young proteges now, you know, the same thing, because they're oh, Ernie, you know, the Rothschilds, and there's the conspiracy about the vaccine, and this is going on, and you know what they're doing? They're trying to do this, and I said, okay, you know what? So what? You know, if the whole world was black, evil is gonna persist. It's gonna be here, baby. Okay, so I gotta look at what can I do? What can I do? I got to get into something bigger than this world. And I say God, I say Christ, and unite with brothers of like minds and like spirit, and change it around. I'm telling you, I was bullied by my own. Then you got they're hanging us in the South. You got to go to the back of the restaurant. I said, that's what I grew up with, you know? So y'all don't know about no hardship.
I was actually going to ask you that the next question, you know.
I'm sorry. I just went on.
It's great, man. It's great. It's all great content. So born in Gary, Indiana. Obviously we know the history of that.
Yes.
What did you experience, and what would you say? Would you say that racism, you know, has gotten any worse or any better since, you know, you grew up until now?
Well, you know, wow, it's twofold. You know, there's a lot of progress. I think there's a lot of progress in it seems in every area, but it seems law enforcement. You know, there's definitely. I mean, you look at what hip hop did with music. You couldn't be on have no hits with doing poetry. You know, basically spoken word with music. You know. They revolutionized that. So I don't, when people say, well, this is a racist country, I said, definitely we have racism here, but there are a lot of things I can't do, even in Nigeria, even in my own African countries, I cannot protest, you know? So it's like it's like having parents, and I can see what my father I never saw my father, but I'm not going to say I don't know what it was. You know, he's not the worst in the world. You know, he wasn't there to abuse me, but he wasn't around, you know. And look at my mother. My mother, for whatever reason, didn't want me to connect with him at all. So she hid him from me, you know. And I had mad resentment. I can't say she's the worst mother in the world. So I just think we definitely have a lot of progress, you know, more millionaires than ever, you know. And the thing is, you have opportunity here. You do have opportunity here. So I'm not going to be the pessimist and say it's the worst area. Nothing has changed. That's not true. Just not true. And even with the whole police thing about, I can understand, because it's the racism is so, when you have a guy putting his knee on a brother that long, and just young girls, well, you can't wound a girl with a knife, you got to kill her, you know, even if they are running, so what? Let them run. The lady who was trying to reach for the taser and she shot because the kid was running. That's you. I'm sorry. You know, it's like something in you wanted to murder that child, you know? So, but at the same, I wouldn't say defund the police. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You don't defund the police. Ask the black mothers in DC, in Maryland, should they defund the police? Now you can root out the racist KKK cops that are there. Yeah, and my suggestion is there should be a law that President Biden should put in that a white cop can never stop a black man unless there's a white cop can never stop a black man unless there's black people present. Never, and that might take years to level out where we trust. Well, okay, it's balanced out now, not to defund the police, just root out the racists. But at the same time, we cannot trust that a white policeman will do the right thing when he stops a black man. So he can never stop a black man without black men present. Okay.
Very, very strong and bold statement. We couldn't agree more. With that said, though, will he ever do it, or will he ever even suggest it?
Well, tell me, Biden?
Yes, sir.
I wish if I could get a hold of him. I'm gonna definitely, you know what? I'm gonna contact Maxine Waters, because she always said, Ernie, I always say I'm coming to see you. You haven't come to see me yet, so I'm gonna go to her and said, I think this would be the best thing for right now. If they had that white policemen cannot. I mean, that just as a rule, all 50 states, that they cannot stop because it can't be trusted. You just can't be trusted. I'm serious, and they can say, there are people like, or there are great cops, but for some reason, the great cops are not speaking up. They're not. It's like, it'd be so great to see the police who say we're not into that. Why are they not marching? Why don't they just walk out of the department and said until it stops, and that they agree to that a white policeman cannot be by himself, So if you guys will help me with that as well, I really think that's the solution, right? I mean, it's like immediately.
Oh, this is definitely going up.
Immediately. Because this system's too young, kid, and you see it. We got to look at the video over and over and over and over of that child being murdered. We can't. Our hearts won't take it, brother. And we're not doing the little kids, our little kids, a favor. The little kids are looking to us like, what are y'all doing to make it safer for us? So yes, that should be done. Thank you for saying you're in agreement with that.
What do you think about the cop Derek Chauvin, who was convicted, of the murder of George Floyd? They just put in a motion now to have a retrial, and it probably looks like he probably get that granted. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh man, don't start me the cussing.
Uncensored.
That mother rucker. No, that's the most evil. It's a horrible thing to do, and I think they're going to regret that. There are going to be repercussions just at the idea of him being retried. They don't want to deal with that. It's not good. And I'm not advocating. I'm not trying to say people should get violent or like that, but it's just not good for us, our psyche as a people. But there are people out there that are just at the point they can't take it anymore. You can't get more obvious than that when the man is casually, almost like he got his knee on in George Floyd's neck, and he says, okay, can I get a just like this? That's calm about it. He's so calm and cavalier, like an animal. And like they say, if it was a dog, they'll be really outraged. He's not outraged. They'll be really outraged if he had his foot on a dog's neck like that. So no, that's effed up.
Are you familiar with Dr. Boyce Watkins?
Yes.
Dr. Boyce Watkins, a friend of the show. We love Dr. Boyce. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the situation, and he said that although there's definitely racism, not only in America, but definitely within the police system, he seems to believe that there's maybe a little more of a motive because the two knew each other. And he says that there may have been, he's not sure if there may have been a little more of a personal motive, more so than race. What do you think about that?
Oh, yes. I forgot all about that. Mm-hmm. I forget that but I don't know how true it was. But right. So that is true.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they worked at a nightclub together, if I'm not mistaken. In the past, they knew each other.
That makes a lot of more sense. That makes a lot of sense. It seems that makes it now I can see it being a personal thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Murder.
That he didn't. Yeah. That with the knee there that long. You know. I can see it. I could see that.
Yeah, definitely. You made a great point when you talk about the animal. Like if it was like a dog on TV, you know, that they done that too. Oh my God, the outrage would be crazy.
Bro, oh my God. Oh my God. They be burning buildings.
Man,
seen it.
Yeah.
So you brought up go. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, you know it.
You brought up another really good point when you talked about well, you made me think about something when you brought up your mother and her keeping you away from your dad for what reason you don't know, and that's a issue in our community that's not often talked about. And that's when, you know what I mean, we have a parent situation doesn't work out. The son in particular, because we're all men here, let's talk about the boys, and we could talk about the girls as well, but let's just talk about the boys right now. And they leave him with the mother, and the father may be a good man, but for some reason she's not letting them see the kid and saying bad things and putting things in their head. How detrimental is that to a young man, and how important is it for them to have their father in their life, no matter the situation?
Brother, it's so criminal. The mothers have no idea. Haywood Nelson, who played Dwayne on the show, he has 3 daughters. His wife did the same thing to him.
Damn.
And he's a good father, but she's upset because, I think he's cheating. And he wasn't, but she was so jealous because he's popular among the women. Of course, they're going to grab him and kiss him in front of her because he was like that little heartthrob. But when she divorced him, she turned those girls against that man so bad. I saw that firsthand. And to the point that she made it seem like he didn't care, or if he was supposed to take him for Christmas, the last thing was like, he was supposed to take him for Christmas. So she said that, oh yeah, he don't want y'all there. So he thinking that they are on their way. She does this trick where she tells him like, he really don't, he has something that the last minute he has something else to do. So they told him, we're going to change our last name to our stepfather because they had brothers and sisters now from him. And I don't know, he's 30 some years now. And I know another friend, Michael, same thing. Another friend, the woman will use the kid as a pawn, saying that he molested a child. I had a friend that went through that, and the FBI came to the door. He was staying with me. The FBI came. They gave him the lie detector thing. It was not true, and she was on the run. And he didn't get to see his son until the son was in his 30s.
Right.
They don't understand. And I have mad resentment. I love my mother, but I had to be honest. And I didn't know. And someone was saying, Ernest, do you think you have resentment? I said, no, but you know what? I had to realize I have mad resentment towards my mother because it's like, I can understand as a baby, because she thought, well, he might kidnap you. That's the first thing she said. Well, we thought he might kidnap you because he was in Missouri and I moved to Gary, Indiana. Okay, but I'm in high school, still nothing.
Yeah.
College, nothing. Even during what's happening, nothing. And even when there was one friend of hers that was going to tell me, because I went home during a break, and her friend was visiting. She, oh boy, I know where your father is. Yeah, well, I said, well, call me and let me. She said, okay, I'll call. When I called her, look, I can't get in this. I don't know nothing because my mother had gotten to her. They don't realize, and they're doing this. This is still, the black women are still doing it with all the black power stuff. That's one area they're still